Quick question for you. Have you ever thought about having a podcast of your very own? If so, I wanted to let you know that Spotify has a platform that lets you make one super easily and even distribute it everywhere, plus earn money. It's all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. So, Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer. So, no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating as soon as today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available on Spotify, so that's pretty cool. And with Spotify for Podcasters, you can even earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, like I said, it's totally free with no catch. Ever since I discovered Spotify for Podcasters, I really just feel like it's brought my podcasting to a whole other level. So I highly recommend you give it a try if podcasting is something that you've been thinking about doing. All you have to do is download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started. Hey there, I'm Julie, and this is the Married to Addiction podcast. If you're here, then you're probably what I call my secret sister. We're in a situation we never asked to be in and fighting a battle we never wanted to fight. We're faith-filled women who are married to an alcoholic, and it affects every inch of our lives. If that sounds like you, then this is a safe place for you to land. Married to Addiction is a faith-based podcast where I help you find the tools and strength you need to navigate your husband's addiction without losing yourself in the process. So please subscribe and tune in as often as you can, because your husband's recovery is important, but so is yours. Okay, just a quick heads up for you today before we get started. I wanted to let you know something that's going on with the Secret Sister Circle. So if you have ever considered joining the Secret Sister Circle, now is the time to do it. Right now, at time of recording, it is January 25th, and I wanted to let you know that at the end of this month, as of beginning of February, technically February 1st, the price is going to be increasing for the Secret Sister Circle for new members for the first time in almost a year. So I've been adding content in there for almost an entire year, and there has not been a price increase. But now I need to go ahead and do that. So if you have ever thought about joining, now is the time. You can lock in lower pricing that will remain your pricing for the entire time that you remain a member. And if you choose the yearly option instead of the monthly option, you get 3 months free. Normally it's 2 months free. Right now it's 3 months free. So I know you've heard me talking about this group coaching program that I have numerous times here on the podcast, but if you would like some more information about it, just head over to my website, www.marriedtoaddiction.com. Click on the drop down that says programs and resources, and you will see the Secret Sister Circle right there. Please just take a few minutes to go check it out if you haven't already, or to go check it out again if you have before. Read through it, see if it resonates with you. If you feel a tug on your heart, prayerfully consider joining us now. I would absolutely love to have you in there with us. I would love to guide you through all of the things that are in there. I would love for you to meet a whole bunch of other sisters who are walking through this too, who will come alongside you and be there for you. It just is really a wonderful experience, and I think that it could help you too. So please just take a few minutes to go check that out today. I hope to see you inside. Hello, and welcome to episode 88 of the Married to Addiction podcast. Before we start with today's episode, I have a quick request. If you skipped over the promo before the beginning of this episode, which I get it, if you did it, I do it too, it's okay. But I really want you to not miss that promo because it's something that's time sensitive. So please take 2 minutes out of your life to rewind a little bit and check it out. If it's not for you, that's fine. But if it is for you, I really don't want you to miss it. Okay, so last week we started a new 3-part series called Why We Have to Navigate This Differently as Christian Wives. In the first episode last week, we talked about balancing forgiveness and empathy with boundaries. So if you missed that, please go back and listen. In this episode, we're going to be talking about confusion about our faith, which I believe is definitely one of the reasons why we have to navigate this whole situation, being a wife of an alcoholic, differently when we're a Christian. We can definitely encounter confusion about our faith as the Christian wife of an alcoholic. As a matter of fact, I'll go out on a limb and say that most of us, if not all of us, will encounter this at some point during this journey, because it is really hard not to be confused about our faith when we're going through something as difficult as this. And sometimes it goes on for a long time. When that happens, we can begin to think things like, where is God? Why am I being punished? What did I do to deserve this? Maybe I'm not praying enough. Maybe I'm not doing enough good things. Maybe I'm not a good enough Christian. Maybe that's why this is happening. Why is this happening to me when I am a Christian? When I've given my life to the Lord, and maybe you even prayerfully considered your marriage, why is this happening now? If you're like me, maybe you're even having thoughts like I did in my deepest moments of desperation of, is God even real? That was a hard thing to go through. And I've been a Christian my whole life, but that was such a difficult time that I did have moments where I was like, is God even real? Like, why is this happening to my family, to me, to my husband, to my kids? If God is real, why isn't he saving us from this? So yes, it can feel very confusing when a God who loves us allows us to go through something so hard. So I want you to know that if you have had thoughts or feelings like I just described, you are not alone. I also want you to know that you are not a bad Christian for having those thoughts. In fact, I have a whole lesson in the Secret Sister Circle called "What is God Doing?" ? Exclamation point. Because this is a common thing that we do struggle with. In that lesson, we talk about how to maintain trust when we don't see anything changing, which that can be a really hard thing to do. And sometimes we have to dig really deep to stay connected to our faith, because this is such an emotional battle that it digs up a whole lot of stuff in us. And when we're reacting from our human standpoint, we can get really disconnected from our faith. But that's about the worst thing we can do, because a close relationship with God is more important than ever when we're going through something that's difficult, especially when we're looking to him for guidance, which we're definitely doing, right? I know I screamed out to him, called out to him so many times for guidance. What do I do? So it can really feel confusing when the human part of us is wanting to just run with all the things that it's telling us to do. We're feeling resentment towards God. We're feeling anger towards God, but we're a Christian. Like, all of that feels so confusing. A lot of us are experiencing the same thing. Another thing that I feel can trip us up as the wife of an alcoholic where our faith is concerned is that feeling of, I'm not supposed to, quote unquote, get divorced. Now, I know there are a lot of opinions on this, many of them quite strong. My own feeling is that God cares about you as his daughter more than he cares about your marriage. I also do believe that he does lead us out of marriages sometimes. So if you're feeling like you have to stay in your marriage, even if it is destroying you, then I want to give you permission to, at the very least, explore this topic further and be open to another way of thinking. One person that comes to mind is Lisa TerKeurst. She is a Christian woman, teacher, leader, influencer. She's wonderful. She's wise. She's a godly woman. She has been through divorce because of a destructive marriage, and she has a lot of great insight and guidance on this topic. So if you do not know who she is, if you have not followed her, she is a really good person to start with, maybe, if you are wanting to explore this topic further. I just want you to be open to another way of thinking, because I will never believe that God wants his beloved daughters to have to suffer endlessly in a marriage that is no longer for them. And in some cases, it is no longer for you. However, that being said, you should also make very sure that you are moving within God's will also if you do decide to leave your marriage. So, what's the common theme here? Guidance from God, because he knows the beginning, the middle, and the end. But I personally do believe that some of us he will call to stay, and some of us he will call to leave. So, if you are staying only because you think that you're not supposed to, and you're confused now because you feel like God is leading you to leave, or signs are pointing to the fact that you should, things that you're seeing from him, but you don't understand that because you don't think you're supposed to get divorced. That can be so confusing. So look into this topic further if that is where you are right now. That's such a hot topic. It really is. And some people are vehemently opposed in the other direction. So, as with anything, I feel like we need to take this to the Lord, and we need to consider what he is saying to us, not necessarily what another person is saying to you, maybe even including me, but what is God saying to you? Because that is the voice that will never, ever, ever steer you wrong. But making sure that you are tied into his guidance in either direction is another incredibly important reason to stay connected to him, which again is something that we can struggle with when we're in this journey, in this battle. I think the biggest thing to remember here is that we need to recognize and acknowledge when we are feeling confusion or even anger around our faith. We need to recognize it as that's what's happening, and we need to acknowledge it. We don't need to try to brush it under the rug because now we feel guilty and bad as a Christian because we're mad at God. Because what happens if we do that, it will either stay in anger or it will begin to build resentment. And those things will cause you eventually to just move away from God, more, or sometimes even altogether, which will ultimately bring you even more heartache because now you don't have a relationship with him and he's not there. You're not drawing him in to help carry you through this. So it really is something that we need to recognize, acknowledge, and learn what to do if we find ourselves in that spot. If you do recognize that you are feeling confused, angry, etc., around your faith because of the situation you're in as the wife of an alcoholic, then I feel like it's a really good time for you to at least re-examine how some of the things we believe as Christian women still fit into our lives, but as they are now. That's where we have to have some discernment. That's where we have to do some of that, exploration of maybe looking at things differently and finding someone who can help guide us through looking at things differently. Because I don't think that it's all just cut and dried, and the answer is not the same for all of us. So you really need to learn how to go from being confused in your faith to drawing from your faith and using that to help move you forward in the way that you are supposed to go. Of course, if you need help with this is something that we work on in the Secret Sister Circle. So if you are not familiar with that, that is my group coaching program for Christian wives of alcoholics. You can find it on my website, marriedtoaddiction.com. There's a drop down for programs and you can find it right there. We work a lot on that. We have a whole entire, the SSC is basically broken into stages. So we have a whole entire stage. I believe it's stage 3. Yes, stage 3, where we work all the spiritual stuff. Now, the spiritual stuff is still woven into every lesson in the entire Secret Sister Circle, which is over 60 lessons at time of recording. So the thread through all of it is our faith, our relationship with God, all of that. But we really dig in specifically in stage 3 and, really start to work through a lot of this stuff on a deeper level so that you can have some clarity and so that you can move forward with a strong relationship with God in spite of the difficult thing that you are going through. So I would love to have you join us in the SSC. If you are not going to do that, at least please, like I said, find some other people, some other books, some other teachers, something that can help you with kind of unraveling this confusion with your faith, because at the end of the day, it's just going to make things harder for you if you stay there. As always, thank you so much for listening today, and I will see you next time. Hey, one more quick thing before I let you go today. Do you follow Married to Addiction on either Instagram or Facebook, or both? If not, I would love to have you join me over there. It's a great place to stay connected with everything that's happening with Married to Addiction. I post updates about my podcast episodes, of course. I post about my freebies. I post about my programs. I post encouragement in the way of Bible verses and things like that. I also post just like some helpful little teaching nuggets sometimes too. So I really think that you would get a lot of value out of that as the wife of an alcoholic, and I would love to have you join me on either Facebook or Instagram, or both. You can find me at facebook.com/married to addiction, or just at married to addiction on Instagram. I hope to see you there.